Hi, this is why I advocate the Zeitgeist movement. I don't want to waste a lot of time on this because I know all of my Facebook friends are sick to death of hearing me talk about the things going on in the world that, maybe they don't want to hear about, or maybe they're not sick of it, but, I don't want to waste too much time on this. Essentially, what it comes down to is when I saw the movies, I was just really impressed by the whole philosophy behind it and how it didn't. Well, I was impressed by it, and I'm going to leave it at that. But my big thing is I try to look into everything I can, as much as I can, as cynically as I can. That only happened a few years ago, really. I used to be pretty blind, but not blind, but I used to just accept things for what they were. And I do accept things for what they are, in like the Buddha sense. I accept things. But when I started really looking into Zeitgeist and trying to get to the core of it philosophically, get to the core of it scientifically, to really critique it, there was one fundamental aspect of it that I saw as the most important aspect of it. And it's that under the current system that we live in, the current paradigm, the economic paradigm and the political paradigm of America, at least, because it's where I live and that's what I know. All I know is that Zeitgeist has been the only thing to offer an alternative solution to problems that exist today that the political system can't fix and won't fix because it doesn't feel that it can. I mean, maybe it doesn't have enough money, maybe they're not as informed as you would like to think. Whatever the issue is, science has been able to solve so much of the world's problems, and there's a lot of technology which exists today which could sustain the entire planet. The entire population could feed and clothe and warm and house the entire population. And all it would require is getting rid of money, the political institution, and these artificial notions that we've created over the course of centuries that we've taken to be God's will, that we've taken to be objective. But so far the only thing that's really been objective, at least in all the years of school I've been in and all the research I've done, is science. Science works to solve problems through research, experimentation, and it's falsifiable, which I think is great, is that it accepts the fact that it could be proven wrong someday, that some scientific research could be proven wrong, and the government and the monetary system never want to be proven wrong. And I think that's the big thing that science has over all of these other methods, and I think that's what Zeitgeist has over all of these methods, is that the application of science to fix the world, I've never heard that before. I've never, ever, ever heard somebody say, you know what would be great, actually, if we voted a scientist into office so that way he would know all of the ways, especially if it was an energy scientist, if he knew all of the ways we could combat the oil crisis, which is a very real crisis, and people just pretend like it isn't happening because they go to school every day, they worry about the bills they have to pay. There are a lot of things happening that politics doesn't solve as effectively as science could. And scientists, scientific research, R&D, aren't given enough money to solve these problems. If money was no longer an incentive, scientists would solve problems just knowing that the problems needed to be solved, and that they exist, and that they're killing people, and that they're harming people, and ruining the potential for a good life. And I've never heard of the political system, the monetary system, of a religious system, anything that's worked at fixing the world that effectively. I've never heard that before, and that's why I support and advocate the Zeitgeist movement. And if you want to learn more about it, I just suggest watching the movies. I don't want to spend too much time talking about this, but it's just the only thing that scares me, not about the Zeitgeist movement itself, but about the current culture that exists if we were to transition to the Zeitgeist movement. It's that people in America and most other first world countries would have to learn to live with less. And people are not willing to live without their iPods, their cans of Coke, their cigarettes. People aren't willing to do that because it's given to them at a price, and they have to earn the money to meet that price and that sort of thing. But I would gladly live without my high-def TV. I would gladly live without as much food as I actually have, because I guarantee you my refrigerator downstairs, which has a lot of food that I don't eat, could feed a freaking country in Africa. So that to me, I would be willing to live with so much less if it meant the world being protected. And people in America and people in other first world countries don't want to accept that. And that to me is sad. It's sad. And I'm not saying that as an insult to anybody. It's not meant to be an insult. I don't think that people should be attacked for their beliefs. I think that the beliefs should be critiqued. So if you like the current system we live in, that good for you. I mean, you're a human being too, and I accept you. But just I think people need to be educated about Zeitgeist and the potential that it has, because it's not all the way there yet. It's not saying we have our, complete fascist, communist propaganda manifesto, and we're going to take over the world now. No, that's not the whole idea. They want critical mass. They want most, if not all, of the world's people on its side. And once it does transition to that, if it ever does, I'm not saying it will, but I do think inevitably we're going to move to a resource-based economy, whether it's Zeitgeist, Project Venus, or something else. We're going to have to move to a resource-based economy. And Zeitgeist, thank you for being the first thing to do it. But eventually we're going to have to move to that. So I think people should be researching it. I think people should be researching the potential that it has and critiquing it scientifically. I think that if we had a team of scientists that was under the direction of, Stephen Hawking, if we had a scientific team that worked to test the environment of a resource-based economy in a control group and see the quality of life the quality of life of the people, how much it's improved or hasn't improved. If I could see research like that, then I would be willing to say maybe Zeitgeist doesn't work. But all of the research that has been proposed within the Zeitgeist movement has been towards it and against the current system, and that's scientific data that's falsifiable. I want to see people trying to falsify it. I want to see people critiquing it in that sense. Not using the economic theory as a basis, not using the political theory as a basis, because these things are outdated. Science can completely disprove the existence of things like... Science can disprove the existence of God, if it ever came to that, and if politics and money are all based off of God, then they're just destroyed after that. So, if science can disprove something as fundamental as that, if it ever did, then things like the political system and the monetary system are just as outdated. And we need science at the forefront of human development, and that's why I support the movement, and I don't want to talk any more about it, and I don't want to offend anybody else. So thank you for listening, and if you're interested, check out the movies, and have a good day.